The following brands have in one way or another contributed to this video. Hey everyone, my name is Max, welcome to my channel, and in this video we're going to take a very close look at U4, wireless in-ear monitoring system from Xvive. Well, chances are you have already watched my videos on U2, U3 or U3C, and U4 does look very similar, yes. Here are specs, and it is a digital wireless system, which means it uses the Wi-Fi frequency, 90 feet range, 24-bit 48 kHz, up to 5 hours battery, we'll check that in this video, 5 milliseconds latency, what else? Multiple receivers may be used with the same transmitter. In the United States you can get it for $229 US, here it is at Sweetwater and this is Amazon, and in Europe it's gonna be 239 euros, which is actually more expensive. As always, I'll give you all product links in the description to this video, and I'd really appreciate if you check them even if you don't need U4, because that supports the channel. Okay, here's the box, and if you watched my videos on U2 and U3, you might have noticed that this is a different kind of packaging. Alright, let's open it and take a look inside. Some papers on the back. This just looks like a catalog of some sort. A sticker, warranty card, blah blah blah, declaration of conformity, nobody reads that anyway, and a manual. Frequency table, that may be useful. Specs, most of which we'll double check in this video. Alright, next. A carrying bag, which is really good to have. Mono jack to an XLR adapter. A double micro USB to USB cable for charging. Candy. Okay, this has to be transmitter, U4 transmitter to be exact, and the receiver. Okay, let's take a closer look. Here's the transmitter, and it looks exactly the same as the U3 transmitter, which actually makes sense because it is exactly the same transmitter, the only difference is the sensitivity switch. If you're connecting it to an XLR output, it must be in the line mode, otherwise if you're using an adapter like this, switch it to aux. Power switch on the right, and this button scrolls through 6 wireless channels. Here's a micro USB port for charging, an antenna, and a locking button. The receiver, let's turn it on, has a volume control on the left and a button to select the wireless channel on the right, a power switch and headphones output on the top, nothing here, micro USB for charging, nothing here, and a pretty solid clip on the back. And this is not a plastic enclosure, this is made of metal, so I have a feeling this is gonna last. When it comes to how to use it, the U4 is very simple. This part here, the transmitter, goes into the sound source. Let's say it's gonna be my phone, but I'm gonna need another adapter for that. And it's all gonna look ridiculous in a way. Okay, the headphones, here, the headphones. Go into the headphones output, and I just need to turn them on. They are already set to the same channel, channel 1, and there's a link, and it works, so I only need to turn up the volume a bit, and it's good to go. It is this simple. Alright, before I try the U4 with all possible and impossible devices, here is the traditional weight and size part of the video. Here's the transmitter, 89 gram, or I don't know if that tells you anything, 3 ounces. Alright, and the receiver, slightly heavier, 120 gram, or this much, 4 ounces, 4 1/4. And the dimensions, okay, let's see if I have anything to compare it to. Well, let's say a battery, that's gonna be smaller than the transmitter. But here's an XLR plug, and it's almost the same size, the transmitter is slightly bigger. A USB charger, and it is actually the same size as the receiver. Exactly the same size. Okay, let's get some pedals. Is this a good reference? I don't know. Anyway, these two are pretty small. As you know, on this channel I take things apart, such as you don't have to do this if for some reason you're curious about what's inside. But I have to tell you, don't try this at home, because you will void the warranty and you may ruin the unit. Just watch my video and you'll get all the information you need. Alright, let's take a look at what's inside of this thing. This one has a way bigger battery than this. Here's the battery once again. 4 more screws. Okay. I'm ready to take it apart. So that is how the radio signal gets out of the enclosure, because this part in the middle is made of plastic. So this is the board, you can see 2 antennas. Okay, is that close enough? Patience, patience. Yeah, this looks a lot like the U3C. The R on the chip means the receiver. And here's the other board. Well, now that you've seen everything, I'll repeat, don't try this at home. I'm not going to be taking apart the transmitter because I have already done that twice for U3 and U3C. If you want more details, check one of those videos. Okay, let's try the U4 with what it was initially meant for, with a mixer for wireless monitoring. I'll be using this digital mixer, the property of my band, but instead of connecting to headphones, I'll go right into my audio interface, such as you can hear what's going on. Let's turn it on. Okay, they both are on channel 1, already linked. I'll need the transmitter in the line mode, and it goes into the monitor output 2 of the mixer. You can see the mixer controls here. Let me turn on the music. Okay, now we should hear something. If I turn up the volume a bit. Okay, very good, it works. And check out the noise level if I turn the volume all the way up. There might be a tiny little amount of hiss, but believe me, you're never gonna be running U4 with headphones at this volume, because it's already way too loud somewhere here. In fact, let me demonstrate that. Here are my studio headphones, and probably many of you have exactly the same model. I'll just plug them into the receiver instead of the line input of my audio interface, and let's run some music and check it out. Okay, so levels on the mixer are pretty high. Okay, I think you can hear that. And as I turn up the volume here on the receiver, that's very loud. Okay, and here are the T-Bone HD200. Let's try these headphones. Oh, I think these are louder. Very loud. Yeah. Okay, and here are my actual in-ears that I use on stage. SE215. Let's try U4 with these headphones. Yeah, I would never make it this loud on stage. Well, just for a reference, these in-ears have a resistance of 16 ohm per channel. The T-Bone headphones have about 34. Wow, and my studio headphones are at 66, and U4 works with all of them. Here's another mixer, an analog mixer this time, and because it doesn't have any XLR outputs, I'm gonna have to use the adapter, and the switch has to be in the aux mode. Okay, let's turn this on, and I'll plug into the headphones output. Music. Alright, it works. And let's check the noise level. very low, just as it was with another mixer. In fact, Xvive U4 may be used with anything that has an XLR or a jack output, with different results. With that said, here it is with a dynamic microphone, and as you can see the volume is all the way up, and I even had to boost the signal in post a little bit. So yeah, it kind of works with the mic, but there are other better solutions for that. Here's some acoustic guitar action, and everything's at maximum again. Again, probably not the best way to apply U4, but I know you'd ask me to try that anyway, so there it was. That was a guitar preamp with a balanced output, and by the way, here's how the sensitivity switch works. Okay, and here's my favorite scenario with a phone. Favorite because it looks absolutely ridiculous. If you try this at home, please be very careful, because one wrong move and you can completely destroy your phone's headphones output. Okay, we're gonna need it in the aux mode for that. Let's turn it on and check how it works. It does work, but I have to tell you about one thing. Just check this out. When using the U4 with some active circuits, you may experience a pretty annoying high-frequency noise, the one you've just heard. It happens at medium and high volume levels, and right now everything was set to maximum and I had to boost the signal a lot in order for you to hear it. The closer these two are to one another, the louder it gets, but I mean the whole point of using a wireless monitoring system is in having some space between them, right? I guess it happens due to the lack of ground, because, well, the phone is literally in the air, it's not grounded, and if I used headphones here, it would be louder as well. Some of you might have heard exactly the same noise from U2, which is a guitar wireless system from Xvive, specifically when it's paired with some guitars equipped with active pickups. Not with all of them, but with some. The reason for that is some sort of interference between the active circuit of your guitar with the transmitter, just as it is here, the circuit of your phone has some influence on the transmitter. If you're having a problem like this with the noise, what you could try to do to eliminate it is using an extension cable between the source or the phone and the transmitter, just to have more space between them. This may also help you to prevent breaking the headphones output of your phone. So this situation is very likely to happen with cell phones, but it doesn't happen to mixers, which is very good because that is what U4 was primarily meant to be used with. I'm usually noise resistant, but I'm pretty sure some of my band members would go absolutely nuts after listening to that kind of noise for like 3-4 hours straight, and that is a standard gig length for my band. So I'm very happy that this problem doesn't occur with mixers and we're safe here. But anyway, when everything is back to normal and we're out of the quarantine and are allowed to play gigs again, I'll definitely check it in a real-life situation on stage and give you an update in the comments below. Very good. Here I have another system from Xvive, the U3C, the microphone wireless system with phantom power, and not only these two look the same, they actually are the same units with slightly different options, and they are absolutely cross-compatible. To demonstrate that, I'll use the U3C transmitter with a condenser mic right here into the U4 receiver. Let's try that. 1, 2, 2, 2. So now you should probably hear me, not very loud, but it definitely works. So all these U3, U3C and U4 are cross-compatible, and the only exception is U2, which is based on another circuit and is not compatible with any of this. Next, I'm gonna try something that is not recommended by the manufacturer, which is using the unit and charging it at the same time. And if it works, then at least you know you have such option in a case of emergency, so you can grab a power bank and connect your receiver to it. Okay, so we now should have some sound. Yep. Very good. I'll plug this USB cable into the charger. we can see that it needs 1.6 amps when it's charging and working at the same time. So yeah, it's working and it's charging at the same time. Okay, now what if I do this? Still the same amperage. Okay, I'll turn it off just to check how much it needs for charging when it's not working, which is 1.3, 1.4 amps, which means you're gonna need a charger that provides at least 1.5 amps to charge U4 effectively. Speaking of charging, as always, I've performed my traditional test for recharging time and battery life, and no surprise, the numbers are consistent with my previous tests on U3 and U3C, which I expected because technically U4 and U3 transmitters are the same units. So it took 1.5 hours for transmitters for a full charge and 2 hours for receivers. And here's the battery life test. I have to say I've done this test a couple of times to make sure the numbers are consistent, and it takes hours to make these batteries dry, so I spent a couple of days just charging and recharging the U4. As you can see, both transmitters and receivers go very strong up until some point when the red LED goes up, and that happens at approximately 4.5 hour mark for the receivers and at about 9 hours for transmitters, which is again consistent with my numbers for U3 and U3C. Sometime later, the solid red light turns into blinking red and the battery dies. And that happened after about 10 hours and 15 minutes for the transmitters and after 11 hours for the receivers, which is very, very long, definitely longer than an average gig, and exceeds the numbers we've seen in the manual. Well done, Xvive. Let's talk about usability, specifically about usability issues. Well, I haven't found anything with the receivers because they are just the right weight and size, the clip feels very solid, and the channel switching button is getting locked, so if you want to switch the channel, you're gonna have to press it several times first, and then you can switch the channel. But the transmitters have inherited a couple of things from the U3. Let me show you what I mean. Oh! Look, I cannot even put them one next to another, they just don't fit in this mixer. Okay, that's unfortunate. Alright, didn't see that coming. Okay, count that as one, but just imagine if I was able to squeeze one more transmitter between these two, and what if I wanted to charge it at the same time? What would I do? I would plug a cable in it, and oops, that doesn't work. I just cannot plug one transmitter next to another and charge them at the same time because they have charging ports on this side. And the truth is, 99% of mixers have XLR outputs oriented this way, so that was the second issue. Is there a workaround? Yes, there is. The manufacturer recommends using extension cables, and I do too, but for completely different reasons. Here's a little trick that I've used so many times with U3 in a live gig situation. I would usually run a cable between the mixer and the wireless system, but that would be a long cable and it would go through the whole stage to the actual place where the actual person who's using the wireless system is standing, and that would do two things. First, the singer or the musician would still have his freedom to move without cables, but the distance between the transmitter and the receiver would be much shorter, which means a stronger connection and less interference if multiple systems are used, and I usually use more than one at a time. And second, that gives me a plan B in a situation when the audience comes in and suddenly the connection disappears because everyone has cell phones and stuff like that. In that scenario, my singers would just take a cable and plug it right into the mic or into the tiny headphones preamp they use for in-ears. It actually never happened before, but going into the gig I feel much safer just having that option available, just in case. And if the cables are already there and ready to go, then if something happens, you don't need to stop the show and put the cables. Saves time. The other issue I wanted to talk about is much more important and much more obvious. XLR plugs are mono plugs, just as the adapter that comes with U4 is a mono jack adapter, which means U4 only transmits one channel. And it is not a stereo system, but a mono system. Well, of course you can say it's fine because stage monitors are also mono speakers, but the thing is, when you're playing on stage, you can hear the whole picture in stereo, and playing with in-ears in mono is not the same thing. For example, every time I play with in-ears on stage, I have my guitar only on one side, because that's the only way I can actually hear the rest of the band. With that said, stereo digital wireless systems do exist. I even have a video on one of those on my channel, look it up if you want. Well, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying U4 is bad, I'm saying it could be better. Very often, you guys ask me exactly the same question about the interference between digital wireless systems and Wi-Fi networks, specifically digital mixers just like this one with built-in Wi-Fi routers. Do they work together? Is there any interference? Are there any problems? How to solve them? Well, let's get into that. Honestly, the Wi-Fi module built into this mixer is an absolute catastrophe on its own, even without any other wireless systems around. But let's go all the way and have 6 Xvive wireless systems running at the same time. Well, because they have 6 wireless channels. For that, I have 3 microphones. This one is on channel 1, here you can see it here as well, channel 2, channel 3, this one on your right. On channel 4 I have the guitar, and channels 5 and 6 are the output channels here and here. Oh, interference. These 2 mics are panned left and right, and my tab is connected to the mixer through Wi-Fi connection. If you see something like this, that means dropouts. Alright, let's check if it's gonna work. Well, as you could see, the connection between my tab and the mixer was solid, there were no dropouts or anything. So how did I achieve that? The thing is, Xvive wireless systems run at 2.4 GHz, so I've set the mixer's Wi-Fi router to 5 GHz, such as they exist in parallel, separate worlds and don't overlap, so Xvive U3 and U4 don't affect the connection between my tab and the mixer. Now, is running 6 wireless systems at once a viable option? Nah, probably not. 2? Absolutely. 3? Maybe. 4? That's where it gets interesting. Look, that's what I mean, there's nothing happening and there are constant dropouts on channel 3. Just like that, and there is no way to fix it unless you turn off channel 1, whoops, and maybe channel 2. Yeah, now it's good. Well, now that channels 1 and 2 are off, we have 4 systems running at once on channels 3, 4, 5 and 6 without any dropouts. So 4 systems at once, possible, 5, unlikely. But I'll tell you what, any Wi-Fi with internet in 30-meter radius from here is dead. That they do well. Of course, if it operates at 2.4 GHz. There is one more thing I have to tell you about, and that is the fact that you can buy a set with 2 or 4 receivers. Yes, just like the U3, this one can work with multiple receivers per one transmitter, but not vice versa. I don't necessarily think these are useful options, because honestly I don't know a band that would want just one monitor line with the same mix for everyone. Usually every single musician wants his own unique mix. But anyway, I'd like you to know that an option like this does exist. This time I'm not gonna be performing the wireless range test and the latency test, because I've done all that for U3 and the numbers are gonna be the same. If you want more details, more numbers, more facts, go check one of those videos, there's plenty of information. Alright, we've almost reached the end, which means it is a time for a recap. But before we get to that, please leave a shovel of pleasure in the comments, just for fun. There are a couple of things that I've checked in the other video but didn't mention here, and those are the latency, which is indeed about 5 milliseconds, and the wireless range, which is about 30 meters. Long list of pros and cons this time. The best things are that it is very loud, the battery lasts very long, and it is cross-compatible with U3 and U3C. At the same time, I wish the latency was lower, and of course I wish it was stereo. Wow, you've made it to the end of this video, and I'm very happy about that, because first I can say thanks, and second, not many people make it this far. It would be really great to hear back from you in the comments below, not necessarily about the topic of the video, but just, to say hi, for example. If for some reason you like what I do here on this channel and want to support me, there's Patreon, I'll give you a link to that in the description below, and other than that, subscribe or don't subscribe, whatever you feel like. That's it for now, and I'll see you in the next video someday soon.